You're listening to the Music Marketing Manifesto Podcast, where you'll learn how you can use direct-to-fan marketing strategies to grow your fan base and generate income from your music with no record label, radio airplay, touring, or press. And I'm your host, John Ojaka. All right, John Ojaka here, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Music Marketing Manifesto Podcast. Now, we're doing something a little different for this episode, and most of you won't be the wiser. I'm recording this in video as well, so if you're a fan of video podcasts, and I'm really not. I'm an audio guy, and I've sort of resisted video for a long time, but I'm finally, I'm basically forced to embrace it a bit more, and I'm doing that, and I'm also trying to add a little more excitement to what has been a very quiet YouTube page over the years, and we'll be adding video options, or video versions, I should say, of most of the MMM podcasts. So this is really the first of those. If you want to head on over to YouTube, search for Music Marketing Manifesto. Be sure to follow the channel or subscribe to the channel and set your notifications to all if you would. Those things really help. You'll find this episode and future episodes there as well. And I'll be attempting to add more sort of brief training videos there to the channel as well, and really trying to see what we can do over there on YouTube. So check that out. So, all right. For today's episode, we're going to be revisiting AI. I reported on AI, specifically ChatGPT, way back in early January. I think it was January 11th when that podcast came out, which, to my knowledge, was the first sort of podcast episode in the music space to be talking about ChatGPT and its implications for the music industry. It came out in, I think it was November 30th that ChatGPT 3.5 was released in that sort of chatbot form that we're all now familiar with. And as soon as I kind of got a hold of it, I realized this is a game changer. This is a new watershed moment. And I think perhaps the watershed moment of all watershed moments, in that, not to get too grandiose right out of the gate here, but I think human beings are looking at a new major step in our evolution, what we are, all of these things that define us as human beings, this whole going back to hunter-gatherers and how we've evolved, all of that is, I don't know but over the next maybe decades, maybe centuries, but over the next little while, we are going to, I truly believe, evolve into something new as AI brings us eventually unlimited energy and unlimited intelligence. And when you have those two things, the human paradigm is turned on its nose and or turned on its head. Is that the expression? What does turned on its nose mean? I don't know. But it is everything that has mattered up until now doesn't necessarily matter. And so some massive things are coming. A lot of us who spend time thinking about these things refer to this as the singularity, this point in time where things start doubling so fast as to appear to be a straight line, and I think a lot of us sense that the introduction of ChatGPT is the drizzle before the coming storm of this singularity and this massive moment in human history. But we're not there yet, and at the same time, as much as there is this grandiose shadow being cast by the introduction of consumer level AI products such as ChatGPT and the image and video generators that we'll talk about a little bit later, as much as all of that is very real, there's also been a sort of sugar crash almost around AI in the recent months, where it came out, everybody got excited. The users just, shot up to 100 million in no time. And there was this sort of AI arms race that we're still in the middle of, as every tool out there or every company out there that was working on something had to rush to market. All the other companies that didn't have any AI needed to cram the word AI into their advertising and their products, often when it didn't even really exist. And as much as tools like ChatGPT are so powerful, there was, again, I think this sugar crash where a lot of us settled into, okay, it can solve all our problems. Wait, can it? And, how does this really fit into our day-to-day lives to make it better? A lot of people start tinkering, and then they're just not really sure how to take advantage of this. It can't, get up and make your coffee for you yet. So I think a lot of people have cooled off. And then on top of that, we have a lot of anxiety around AI, where you have a lot of thought leaders in the tech space, signing letters saying that, this is a concern. And then you have people creating podcasts and YouTube videos saying that we're all going to die because of AI. And, there's a lot of, there has been a sort of second moment as we all caught our breath from this new AI thing. And I wanted to revisit the topic because it's a topic of an enormous amount of interest to me. And I covered it so early here on the MMM podcast that I thought it was worth talking about again. When we talked about it originally, I had my friend Sean Early on the podcast, and we were both, a week or two into playing with these tools, and they were crude by comparison to where we are just a few months later. So that's what we're going to do on this episode. We're going to be just kind of revisiting AI, ChatGPT, image and video creators, music creation tools, and we're going to be taking a sort of second look at this, and perhaps a more mature, kind of relaxed look at what's the reality of first, what's happened in the AI space over the last few months, because things are happening very, very quickly. What is the reality of how AI can help us specifically as musicians right now, the different tools that are out there, and where is this going? What does this all mean? And what should we be concerned about? That's what I'm going to attempt to address on this episode. The problem with doing the video thing is, it's not as easy to edit as audio. So we'll see where we get with this. There was an edit right there as I started coughing. Anyway, so settle in. I'm going to take a quick break. And you're probably going to be hearing from me in the break. But when we return, we're going to be revisiting artificial intelligence and what it means for you as a musician. All right, back in a sec. Hey, John here, just cutting in with a quick message to tell you about a product that I think can help you dramatically as a musician. The product I'm talking about is TunePipe, something that is very near and dear to my heart. TunePipe is truly an all-in-one marketing solution for musicians. It is a website builder. It is a funnel builder. It is a music store builder. It is a membership creator. It is a email marketing tool, a crowdfunding tool, a split testing tool, and a whole lot more. It allows you to essentially press a few buttons and not only publish a website, but perhaps more importantly, publish a marketing funnel for your music. It is as simple as logging in, clicking create funnel, selecting a funnel strategy such as deep sale funnel or free for shipping and handling funnel or streaming funnel, and the list goes on, clicking publish, editing the text and images until you're happy, connecting your email marketing tool and products, and you're away. In as little as 45 minutes, you can build a traffic-ready marketing funnel for your music using TunePipe. And while there are many services out there that can help you build a pretty website for your music, TunePipe is the platform that helps you build a website and a lot more that can ultimately pay for itself. That's how it is designed. It is a marketing-forward platform. It doesn't just sit there and wait for people to come to you. Instead, it gives you the tools to go out and grab the attention of potential fans, turn them into super fans, and generate revenue from that attention as a result. So if you'd like to try TunePipe free for 14 days, just head on over to tunepipe.com. Once again, that's tunepipe.com. You can find out more about the services and integrations that we offer. I think it's going to blow your mind. Once you start working in TunePipe, I think you're going to find it very difficult to go back to those other platforms that are out there because it's just so easy to use. You do not have to have any tech knowledge or coding knowledge or any of those things. You just click a few buttons, follow along with the in-depth learning center that we've created for you if you need it, and you'll be away in no time with a beautiful, modern, cutting-edge site that has all of the tools that you need to grow your fan base and generate more revenue from your music. So check it out at tunepipe.com. All right, so we are back. Let's begin by just kind of getting up to speed and going over everything that has transpired over the last few months. I touched on some of this in the intro, but here it is in a nutshell. And on November 30th, 2022, ChatGPT 3.5 was launched to the public. And ChatGPT actually, or I should say GPT, actually existed for a while through OpenAI. You had to use it more in their developers' playground, and it really wasn't that consumer friendly. They turned it into effectively a chatbot and launched it to the public, and things went nuts. Suddenly, we could all understand it, we could all use it, and it was unlike anything we'd ever experienced before, where we could talk to this AI like a person. We didn't have to speak in broken down computer code, language, or simplify ourselves like we do with perhaps Siri or Alexa. We could just speak like a person, and we would get these very, very detailed replies back. We could ask it to write in our voice or another voice, and it could do it. We could ask it to make advanced calculations, and it could do it. The world was taken by storm. We had really never seen anything like it. A number of products started using their API to make their products and services smarter. In fact, my own service, TunePipe, is now integrated with ChatGPT. Not only can you create content, headlines, and text, and bios, and all of that stuff using a built-in ChatGPT integration, but you can also there's also a ChatGPT powered support bot. We still offer human support, of course, but it's there for those off hours when you need an answer quick. So a lot of services started integrating with it, and we started seeing it everywhere. I think it was a matter of 5 days till they hit 1 million users, and a few weeks more, or maybe it was months, I don't recall, until they were over 100 million users. To my knowledge, to my understanding, fastest growing platform of its kind in human history. And again, many of us recognize this is massive. Along with this came a fleet of AI tools. Some of the bigger and better known and more useful ones would be platforms like the image generators. I'm talking specifically about Midjourney. Midjourney had a free plan. Now it's paid only, last I looked. There are also other image generators like Stable Diffusion, which to my knowledge is open source. There are a growing number of additional models around both image generation and other third-party, often open source chat models out there, language models, There's also a fleet of a growing number of video creators. Some of the bigger, again, more useful ones were Runway Labs Gen 1 and now Gen 2, where we can just simply type in some text, eagle flying through the Grand Canyon, and we're going to most likely get an eagle flying through the Grand Canyon. We can also do video to video, where we upload a video of our own, perhaps playing guitar and singing, and then we might give it a prompt to turn it into claymation or anime, and it will spit back a video of us playing guitar as anime or as claymation. Now, the problem here is that it's not that good yet. The demos we all saw when Gen 1 was first released were very exciting, and myself and a lot of others thought this is going to become amazing within a matter of weeks, and it's taken a bit longer. I'm still 1000% confident that it is going to get very good very soon, but it's still in its infancy. That eagle might be not flapping its wings or flapping them in some weird way. You'll often have to generate multiple versions of that video to get what you finally want, and then there's often some flickering or weird morphing, but occasionally you get some, and more than occasionally, quite often you get some beautiful footage that you can in fact use, and this is particularly valuable when we're trying to create something sci-fi or something that we can't buy stock footage of or easily recreate. A alien ship landing over or hovering over New York City, for example. You could do something like this with a text prompt now with Gen 2 from Runway Labs. There's another service out there that I play with a bit more. It's simpler, but I think the results are a little more usable right now, which is Kyber, K-A-I-B-E-R. Kyber is effectively, I believe they're using Stable Diffusion. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that. Most of the third-party tools are pulling from Stable Diffusion, and how it began was sort of image to video. You could go and upload perhaps an image of yourself. We'll stick with playing guitar, and it would turn it into a 5-second or 4-second video. But what the technology that it would use, just to sort of simplify it, is that it would basically take your source video and then create, I don't know how many dozen versions of that video. So what you'd see was this morphing of your face and you playing guitar, as well as some motion added to it. So it was questionable in terms of how well you could use this, particularly if you were looking to recreate yourself, as we as musicians often are. We want to make music videos and things like that. But if you were trying to create a landscape, maybe you make electronic music or meditation music or some fantasy music, and themes were just as important as you, the singer or artist, was, then you could do some really cool stuff. You could do amazing fantasy scapes as image after image morph, from one image into another, and do some really beautiful stuff. And we did see a lot of videos emerging, getting millions of views. We're still seeing this using these AI tools, but again, they're somewhat crude. Kyber then released video to video, which it uses a similar technology. Again, as I understand, I don't pretend to know every nuance of every one of these tools. I just know the user experience, and then I deduce what's actually going on there. In some cases, I've done more research than that, but not in the case of Kyber. But it appears they're doing the same thing. They're taking the frames and then using an AI image creator to create images for each frame and then throwing them back together. So you still get this morphing, flickering kind of effect. And it's particularly hard when you're trying to get your mouth to align to the lyrics that you're saying. I think that's, I'm focused on one target, which is to create music videos of ourselves singing our songs, so that we can, instead of spending $5,000, be able to turn anything that we see in our head, any storyboard, into a video for mere pennies. And I do more than believe. I know that's coming. I just don't know if it's weeks, months, or years away. But there are new tools emerging, and again, the AI space is moving so fast. I think that's the big point to stress here, is that almost every day there's some new important bit of news in the AI space, whether it's new, faster chips being produced to process all of this AI that is now taking place around the world, or whether it's a new platform that allows you to do something cool. There's something happening virtually every single day. But on that lip note, just as a fun aside, there is a new tool called Wave to Lip. It's free at the moment. It's a Google tool that people are using to take maybe a video of Joe Biden talking, for example, and then putting new words in his mouth, and it will just change the lips of that individual. So one, you can do some fun things there, but perhaps, and I'm yet to try this, I believe we might have some luck taking some of these Kyber video to video tools, and then throwing that, or results, I should say, and throwing them through wave to lip to see what we ultimately get. So for every time we have a problem in the AI space, it's honestly a matter of weeks before somebody's come up with some kind of a workaround. Sometimes they're simple, sometimes they're very complex. Now, there's also a fair bit. Oh, I should have mentioned DALL-E 2, of course, when it comes to the image creation. DALL-E 2 is another powerful tool from OpenAI. It seems to be the least popular of actually Adobe's got tools. Photoshop's now AI powered. I mean, it's happening. It's moving fast. I tend to be thinking of the tools that I personally use, but actually there are quite a lot of them out there. I use DALL-E 2 a lot for things like in-painting and out-painting, which I know you can do in the AI-powered Photoshop. I'm just not a Photoshop user, so I don't use that. But what's been remarkable is things that have stopped a lot of creative people in the past. Like, let's say you have a square image, but you need it to be a horizontal image for a particular post or ad. You're screwed if the image doesn't, the image you got doesn't work. Now you can just go in and paint out the area to the side of the image, and then paint in based on a text prompt, and completely turn that square image into a horizontal image. The AI will come in and paint the rest of that picture, and it's usually pretty flawless. Likewise, you might have a perfect picture, but I don't know, you were holding a soda can in your hand and you didn't want that in the picture. You just erase it and describe the image like a man standing at a park or whatever, and it will paint back in that area where the soda can used to be, and it will perhaps paint your hand. It's a little bit of a luck of the draw. You might have to do it a few times, and it does spit out 4 or 5 different images for you to choose from, but sooner or later you'll get something perfect. And it's been, AI has now allowed us to do so much more with those imperfect images. It's been really fantastic for that. And I personally use DALL-E 2 for that, but there are a lot of tools out there. There's also a new fleet of AI image, what do we call this? Image sharpeners, not sharpeners, what's the word I'm looking for? Where upscalers. So we can take that weird low-res image or that slightly fuzzy shot that we love the shot in general. Your face is just a little blurry, and you can go, I use one called Vance AI. There are a number of them out there. Vance AI gives you a few free credits, and then you pay something like $5 for 100 credits, but there are some free ones out there. You just have to wait a little longer for them to process. But you take that fuzzy image. I had this happen recently. I needed a photo from my past, and all I found was some tiny little grainy one on the internet. I took it and I uploaded it into Vance AI. Hit upscale, and suddenly the image was much bigger and much sharper, and I could use it on the web, and it was perfect. So I use that a lot. This is particularly valuable because a lot of these image creators like Midjourney spit out images that are good, but they're a little small, and with an upscaler we can get what we can get that little bit of extra sharpness, that little bit of extra size. And it really doesn't cost much. I should probably spend more time talking about the image creator tools, because they are pretty massive. I mean, Midjourney is sort of the end-all be-all to my mind. I don't think the other tools are quite touching it, but effectively it is, if you haven't played with it, it is a text-to-image creator that can create images that are indistinguishable from real photographs. Again, like all of these tools, it's not always perfect. It is to some extent the luck of the draw. You may have to run your prompts a number of times, but I can go in, and I did the little test for something recently. It was 70s rocker girl, and I got 4 photos. It'll always spit out 4 photos that it's just shocking when your mind knows the person you're looking at does not exist because it is indistinguishable from a photo. I might have typed photo of. And now there's all this additional functionality where you can add images and assign image weights and create seed images. So you can put your face on, Superman if you want. But where I find that this is kind of handy is when maybe you've got one great shot of yourself and you need some additional shots to kind of choose from. You can take that image of yourself and your face and use the image of your face as the seed, use the image of yourself as the source image, adjust the image weight so it's fairly heavy on. I want you to follow the source image fairly closely, but then have it saying playing guitar or with hands in the air or smiling, and give it that little extra something, and it will give you effectively a new image of yourself in a different position doing a different thing, which can come in so handy in a variety of situations, particularly for things like Facebook ads and whatnot. So anyway, I could talk about this stuff for ever. Actually, I think I do need to talk about it for a little more, because there's also a pretty big there's a lot of discussion around AI music creation, and I got to be honest, this doesn't interest me that much. As a musician, I'm just not interested that much in AI music creation, because I would not care about this, and I don't believe in the long run many people will care about this. I believe that what we seek from music is the connection to a human heart and soul and mind. We are not that far away. I mean, technically, you can already do this. You could create your own internet radio station and albums and everything else, and entities from the images to the videos to the brand to the lyrics to the songs to the voice that are completely AI created. And there have been examples of people making fake, Drake songs and things like that and getting millions of streams until it got yanked down. There are lawsuits happening, everything. There's no precedent for any of this stuff. So the dust hasn't settled on where the laws are going to settle around all of this. But I personally, I'm not afraid of an AI world where musicians don't have any relevance, because I don't think that that's what humans are seeking. I don't think we want an AI generated playlist of AI song after AI song after AI song, because I don't think it's just a song that we are seeking from our music experience. It's not to say that there would be zero value there, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think it solves that human problem that is ultimately solved by music. It doesn't give us that sense of fulfillment that I think we are ultimately seeking when we connect with artists and when we connect with music. I think personally, and this is getting philosophical, but personally, I believe that we as humans, we want art that is filtered through another human mind. That does not mean that we cannot benefit as artists, and we can from AI, and that we cannot use AI to help us be much, much better and more creative artists. We absolutely can. We already are, and we kind of have been for a while. So but because of that, I'm not that interested in going and singing a song and then having, I don't know, fill in the blank, Kurt Cobain sort of have his clone voice re-sing my song. That doesn't interest me. And yes, there are examples of this stuff popping up on YouTube right now because it's so new and getting a lot of views. But I think the shelf life on this stuff is short, and the big picture interest in this is limited. Where I think, and there's so much you can do. You can create AI beats, and then AI lyrics, and then AI voice clones, and it's particularly effective with rap. It gets harder when they're singing and all of the melodies, but definitely not impossible. I've seen some flawless examples. But again, it's beyond being a novelty and a curiosity. I don't know I don't see this as a threat. I'm not worried about it. All of the artists that I feel affinity towards, it's not the music. It is, that's not true. It is in part the music, but it is a combination of the music and the stories that those individuals are telling and the life that inspired those stories. That's in the individual and their brand. And, the rock stars that we follow, they are tribe leaders. And it's going to be a very long minute before we are ready to follow AI as a tribe leader. So I don't know. A lot can change in the next 100 years, but right now, I'm not particularly worried, and I don't think you should be as well. I do not think the sky has fallen on music creation. Now, some of you who have invested an enormous amount of time into becoming very good at particularly technical aspects of music, you might have a right to be pissed, because a lot of people are going to be able to match that skill, or not the literal skill, but create a product that closely resembles the products that you can create much more easily. But this is not new, in the arts. We saw this with Photoshop. Designers of old who charged hundreds of thousands of dollars to create blueprints for the signs and logos and things that we suddenly had kids coming along with Photoshop and do the same thing for $500, and careers shifted, and frankly some were destroyed because of technological evolutions like that. Music, samples. Suddenly some kid could create a song that had a drum beat that had the soul of one of the world's best R&B drummers, because they were sampling things. And so at least when it came to the beats, the drums, the sounds, they were instantly elevated to a much higher level of skill than they themselves could have created if they had to go and play and record those same drums. So we, not through AI necessarily, but through technological advancements, we have seen a number of these sort of shortcuts in the arts, and AI does represent a massive 10xing, or whatever you want to say, of productivity for people who haven't put in as much time and dedication as some other people. But I don't think that, I know that on an individual by individual basis, this might suck for some people. But as a whole, for humanity, I think that this is a wonderful thing. I think the end all be all for the art should be that anybody with an idea, with an urge, with something inside that they want to express to the world on the outside so they can potentially touch another human being. I think we want a world where that's obtainable. If you want to create beautiful 60s style Motown music, should you have to go and master every single instrument yourself and become an engineer and become a producer? And heck, we can get really meta on that. Do you have to be a software designer to create the recording tools like Pro Tools? And that changed things as well. I don't want a world like that. I want the tools to create a shortcut for my mind, to get the ideas and thoughts that are on the inside out to the world faster. And on that front, AI is so tremendously powerful. I'll give you some, case studies, or not case studies actually, but some use cases that I found, that I've played with, that I found just incredibly just amazing, really. I am a big fan of Jeff Lynne's sort of, particularly his drum sound from ELO, but he's also a producer, and I'm an Americana fan. I like the Traveling Wilbury sound. I like his drum sound for some reason, and so I went into ChatGPT 4, and I should probably add this. If you are going to experiment with these tools, pay the $20 a month and sign up for ChatGPT 4. It is infinitely more powerful than 3.5, and you just can't do a lot of the things in 3.5 that you can do in 4. So just pay the $20. It is so well worth it. and you'll have less of those, oh, it was good, but not really usable kind of experiences that you do with 3.5. Anyway, getting back on track, so I'm not an engineer. I'm not a technical guy. I'm not a producer. I've always worked with producers. I don't push the buttons. I don't know how to make things sound the way I want them to sound. So I turned to ChatGPT, and here's the actual prompt. I said, you are a world-class music producer, and I want you to guide me to produce my own album. My recording software is Audacity, and I would like you to guide me to get a drum sound similar to that of Jeff Lynne from ELO. Can you do that? And it says, absolutely. Jeff Lynne's production style is well known, and we can break it down into steps for you to recreate a similar drum sound using Audacity. Here are the steps. Record or program the drums. Start by either recording a drum kit or programming MIDI drums. Jeff Lynne often uses a tight, punchy snare and a big open kick drum with minimal use of cymbals. If you're programming, remember to vary the velocities for a more realistic feel. Drum sound selection. If you're using MIDI, choose your drum samples carefully. Look for ones that closely resemble the sound of Jeff Lynne's drums. Punchy snare, warm tones, and a big kick. You might need to try out different samples to find the perfect match. EQ equalization. Use Audacity's EQ to adjust the frequency balance of your drum tracks. Here's a starting point. Kick drum, boost around 60 hertz for more thump. Cut around 400 hertz to reduce boxiness, and boost around 3 to 5 hertz for more click. And it goes on talking about the snare and the toms and compression. But still, and that's amazing to me, but still, it's an overview, right? You're still kind of going, okay, I understand, but like, how do I do that? So I then said, I'm just trying to find the prompt. I would like you to give me the first step, and I will do that, and I will tell you when I have done it, and then I will ask you for the next step, okay? This is, of course, I can guide you that way. Let's begin. Step 1, set up Audacity. If you haven't already, download and install Audacity from the official website. Once it's installed, open the software and familiarize yourself with the basic layout. You'll see a blank project with various buttons for recording, playback, etc. Let me know when you're done, and then we'll move on to the next step. And that's how I like to use it for advanced projects, because one, it's limited in terms of the number of characters it will spit out. So whenever giving you a summary, it will never be fully complete, at least for anything advanced, because you could write, several volumes of massive books about this topic, and it's not going to be able to do it in 1,500 words, or whatever that the limit actually is based on tokens and varies a little bit, and you don't need to understand all of that. But and by breaking it down like this, it will give you these detailed step-by-step things. And as you encounter problems, you can say, I'm not seeing that. And it will give you, it will say, I'm sorry, I didn't, it will make mistakes. But together you can guide yourself through the problem. And I've been able to do that on so many very advanced technical fronts, to solve problems that I never would have been able to solve on my own in the past. I'm talking about coding and working through advanced math equations. It's really, really, really incredible. I find working with ChatGPT to be like having a blind super genius, perhaps with no hands, sitting next to you. It knows everything, but it can't see what you're dealing with, and it can't go and do the things that need doing. But as long as you can, as long as you understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and you can articulate the situation clearly and follow directions clearly, and stay on track, you can do nearly anything. So as a musician, there are a lot of videos where people are asking it to write lyrics for you. Who cares? I don't want that experience as an artist, and I don't want that experience as a listener personally. I'm sure other people are feeling differently about that, but that's where I'm at on it. So I'm not the guy to instruct you on how to fake or create fake AI music. But if I had a song in me and needed to get it out and didn't know how to get it out, I can now turn to ChatGPT and have it be, again, my blind and crippled engineer and master producer. I can ask anyone who's fairly well documented out there pre-2021, or not even pre-2021, because we now have the browser plugins, which I'll get to in a moment. It will have such a wide variety of such an incredible amount of information about that person and their style through all of the publications that, and people who have interviewed them about their production. They can simulate that knowledge and pass it on to you in very easy to understand chunks. And if you don't understand, you can say, simplify it. Explain this to me as someone who has no experience with production, or pretend I've never seen a mixing board before. Explain this to me in very simple terms, and it can do that. So that is really where this is at right now, and where I think it's going to be for a very, very long time. It's here to help us humans be better at being human, and and more productive at being human. I could talk for days about the amazing things that are now in the works because of AI, from genetic research to, I was hearing the other day, some group is working on decoding sperm whale language so that they could potentially understand and speak sperm whale. Like they are now able to read thoughts and with AI, in the sense that they'll show people images and video while they're in an MRI machine or some equivalent of it. It will record their brain scans, associate the brain scans with the image, and learn what one image translates to in terms of this image. Well, let me reverse that. When they're looking at an image of a sailboat, this brain activity happens. So this brain activity means a sailboat, or blue, or a million other things. And they're doing the same with video. And they've gotten to the point that they can then put a person in that MRI machine, show them a picture or a video, and then the AI will translate the brain signals and spit out an image or video that looks remarkably close to the source image or video. And it's not perfect, but again, we're a few months into the AI world, but it's very, very good. This means that not only could we potentially be reading minds, which I know brings some anxiety along with it for a lot of people, but it also means that we could soon be and will soon be recording dreams, and documenting, potentially like recording our entire lives if we want them to be recorded, and having them stored somewhere. We could be communicating with animals and seeing how animals see the world. The world is getting weird, and it's just all happening so fast. So again, trying to get back on track, and I really enjoy this stuff and find it interesting. So it's hard to kind of not go down the different rabbit holes, because there are so many. But bringing this back to sort of music and just trying to tell the story of the last few months and where this is all going. Another major development has been the addition of plugins and internet browsing capabilities to tools like ChatGPT. Originally, it had no ability to access any information pre-2021, and the default mode is still that way, and earlier or free versions are still that way as well, to my knowledge. But with ChatGPT 4, you now can click a little drop down and either select default, browsing, or plugins mode. And there are, I think, currently about 400 something plugins in the plugin store. This is sort of a double-edged sword in terms of news. We're all extremely excited about it, and I think the collective feeling about plugins so far has been a little, they're helpful, but they're not. It's not the App Store yet. They're not as amazing. A lot of them are really just businesses trying to get in on the AI thing and not giving a tremendous amount of additional functionality, but a few of them are great, and again, many more will come. I use this a lot for things like my own business, where you can create a huge PDF of, in my case, with Music Marketing Manifesto and TunePipe, it's an enormous question and answer PDF that I've created, and every time something new comes in, I add to it, and I can upload the PDF. I can turn on the Ask PDF plugin, add the PDF, it will scan and read the plugin, and I can type in a question and have it spit out the answer. Better yet, I can say, format I have a prompt that's something like, I'm going to give you a series of emails. I want you to format, I want you to reference the PDF for the answers, and draft a reply as an email. Now, I'm not sitting there just copying and pasting and not communicating with people. What I'll do is often take the email and I tell it how I like to speak. I train it a little on how I like to speak and how I give it examples of my speech. But then what I'll often do is take that email, paste it in, and give it a prompt as an answer. I tell it that the email will be between quotes, context will be outside of the quotes. So then I'll say, the answer is no, you can't do that. But if here's a workaround. And I write very fast and sloppy, and some of these emails that might take 30 minutes for me to think through and draft become 2 or 3 minute projects. And so it's an enormous time saver for me to use these plugins, specifically the browser or Video Insights or Ask PDF plugin, to get quick answers. And then I take that answer, I paste it in, and I make further tweaks to reflect things that I would actually feel or say. So there's nothing that's not still being filtered through my brain. The seed information that is the answer is my brain and thoughts and experience, and the final output is edited by me, but the laborious stuff of framing a long email is removed from the equation. So it's an enormous time saver. Now, for musicians, there isn't a direct parallel. Most musicians aren't fielding thousands of emails a day, but some of you are probably getting a considerable amount, and it could be used in a very similar way. Again, if you want to assimilate information quickly, you can use maybe from a YouTube video. You take that link, use the Video Insights plugin, and ask it to quickly summarize it for you. I get a lot of school newsletters from my kids' school, and frankly, they're boring, and I'll take them and just I'll copy the text, paste it, and say, can you summarize this in as few words as possible while not leaving any actual details out, and it'll spit something that takes me 30 seconds to read. Something that would have taken me 15 minutes is now 30 seconds, and it's really, really helpful. I make sure not to miss anything. So that's why I think this is so exciting right now, and how I think people should be thinking about this. Don't think about AI or ChatGPT or Midjourney or Runway Labs or Kyber or any of these tools and then again, there's the music creations like or the various music creation AI tools out there. Don't think of them as shortcuts or hacks, and don't use them in that way. That's not where the world is going with this stuff, where it's a completely, again, it's going to evolve, but I'm talking about right now. I do not believe that we are creating a fake world that's going to run away from us. I think we're creating a world where we just become faster and faster and faster. I think that is and again, getting a bit philosophical here, but that is what humanity has been about since the beginning. That is, the definition, I think, of progress is being able to control, an increased ability to control the circumstances of your own life. This applies to us as musicians or human beings in general. And we've been trying to do that since the beginning of time. Let's say you wanted to know how to, forge iron 1,000 years ago. You either, were born into a situation where you could potentially learn this, or you probably never learned this. Maybe 100 years ago, if you were of the right class of human, you might get on a horse and ride into town for a day and put your body in all kinds of harm. And then if you were educated and could read, there might be a resource, a library where you could read. Maybe a little longer than 100 years ago. I suppose 100 years ago we were beginning the Industrial Revolution, but you take my point. when I was a kid, we had a basement full of encyclopedias, and if I wanted to know how to forge iron, I'd go down there and open up the books and get a very crude understanding. A week later, I'd go to the library, then I'd go to university, and then we had smartphones, and suddenly if I wanted to know how people forged iron, I could just pull out the phone. Well, then we had computers, rather, and we could Google it. Then we had our smartphones, and we could be sitting in a cafe and wonder something and answer it. Then we began talking to our phones, and now we have AI that can actually walk us through the process of doing it. So there's always been this progress, is this again, if we go back to that ability to control the circumstances of your own lives. What is really happening here is a shortening of time between inspiration and reality. And inspiration is a key part of this process. AI is nothing without inspiration. In my opinion, AI is not some scary thing that is going to come and take over humanity. There will be bumps along the way. There will be some horror stories, and there will be some jobs lost. But ultimately, AI, in my opinion, is humanity. It is us. It is our child. And and again, going back to that sort of definition of progress, it is here. It is the next tool in a millions of years long journey to shorten that gap between inspiration and reality. And I can think of no other arena where that is more exciting than the arts. And so I don't view it as a loss of soul or a threat to soul or a threat to art. Again, bumps along the way, some jobs lost, some skills that people worked really hard for may become somewhat irrelevant. That has happened since the beginning of time in all arenas. Again, we referenced a few of them, like Photoshop and Pro Tools, and all of these things cost people their jobs. But overall, I think they helped many more people create. And so I, for one, am incredibly excited about where AI is going and what it means for us as artists. Now, if you are hearing this and this is making sense to you, but you really have not played with it that much, because that's what I encounter more often than not, is people that are following the news, paying attention to it, sometimes have a lot of anxiety around it and some negative feelings or skepticism, or maybe they're very positive, but they really haven't used it that much. My recommendation would be to begin by signing up for ChatGPT 4. Don't stop using the free version, because the results are dramatically more powerful. To give you an example, ChatGPT 3.5 failed the bar exam in the bottom 10%. It was given the bar exam and it failed in the bottom 10%, or bottom 10 percentile. ChatGPT 4 passed in the top 10 percentile. So it passed the bar. And it's that much smarter. You want to be taking advice from someone who can pass the bar in the top percentile, or someone who failed it in the bottom 10 percentile. Obviously, the former. And for just $20 US a month, it's just so well worth it. So start, but if you sit down and go, okay, help me AI, it's not going to be able to. But think about the ideas you have, the dreams you have, the things you want to create or produce or do, and ask yourself, how could this be done faster? Ask the AI, how can you help me to do this task that I need to do? And it will be able to contribute. And it again, I think the character limits throw people. Ask it to give you step by step by step by step, and I think you'll get better results. Every problem in life is just a wall that you need to climb over, and there is a strategy out there for climbing, or there is a successful strategy out there that will allow you to climb every wall. And there has never been a tool more powerful than ChatGPT currently ChatGPT 4. New iterations will be coming soon, no doubt, and it will just be getting smarter and more powerful. But there's never been a tool more powerful to help you overcome those obstacles. And even if they're just boring tasks, ChatGPT will have some suggestions on how it can help. Now, if you're going out and if you need to, I don't know what, put on guitar strings every day, ChatGPT is probably not going to be able to help you with that, but it might actually have some strategies that still speed up your time, believe it or not. I don't know. That's a kind of silly example, but you do catch my meaning. So from every task that you do as an artist or a human being, I believe it can help you. So that is the first place you should start. And again, ChatGPT 4 gets you access to browsing and then the plugins. Take the plugins with a grain of salt. They're not all amazing, but there are a few that can help. And again, the ones that have helped me are Video Insights, Ask My PDF or Ask PDF. There are a couple of them that are similar. It's the one that's like Ask PDF that I use, a yellow sort of icon. And then the browsing, there's a browsing plugin and there's a native browsing capability. Both are helpful. The value of the plugin is that you don't have to choose browsing or plugins. It gives you the browsing capability while still using plugins. There are other ones that I'm sure are very valuable. I need to play more with the Zapier plugin that helps you to create integrations, which can be very powerful, especially if you're like a TunePipe user. And there are many more that I'm sure are very helpful, but those are ones that you might start with. Another thing I would do is probably sign up for Midjourney. I think it's $10 a month, and it's as of this recording, it's in version 5.1, and it can now create your images for your blog posts. It can now create images for your album covers, or it can create your album covers. It can do things like create seed images for you to create animations from, or short little videos for social media, for Instagram and TikTok and everything else. And if nothing else, give you inspiration as you're trying to visualize something for a project. So I use those two tools almost every day. You may want to play with tools like Kyber and Runway Labs Gen 1 and Gen 2. Again, I find them still limited, and you're probably not going to get something brilliant the first time out. But if you play with them and make a lot of different videos, especially if you sort of storyboard something out, I think you can get something very usable and very interesting. And again, especially in this world where we're often just looking for 15 or 30-second clips to share on social media to drive people over to either a squeeze page or a smart link page, then I think these are really potentially valuable tools. In a broader sense, and perhaps even a more powerful sense, where it can come in extremely handy, and I can't believe I've waited this long actually to start suggesting this, is to help you with all of the material aspects of your marketing. So I teach a particular brand of direct response or direct to fan marketing that involves using advertising to drive traffic to a squeeze page where people sign up for some free music, and then an email sequence takes over, builds that relationship with the fan, and eventually tries to sell that fan some music, memberships, merch, tickets, etc. And then you continue to send out real-time email newsletters or broadcasts to continuously keep them engaged and interested in your music and career, and then occasionally sell them stuff. So that's what I teach and specialize in and have been doing with Music Marketing Manifesto all these years. Almost every step of that process can be helped with a tool like ChatGPT and to a lesser extent Midjourney and Kyber or Runway Labs. So for example, if you're setting up a Facebook ad and you're running into problems, for example, with the Facebook pixel or setting up custom conversion, something I get about 3 emails a day on, you can simply ask it, hey, I'm having trouble setting up a custom conversion. Here's what I see here. And what do I do next? It will guide you through that process, particularly if you have the browsing plugin turned on. You can ask it for targeting suggestions. You could say, hey, in my case, I'm an Americana artist. A lot of my fans seem to also be Jason Isbell fans. I'm looking for 10 targeting suggestions for Facebook ads. Can you recommend them? It will probably go with broad genres, and then you can say, I'm looking for more targeted specific interests. Can you recommend 10? And it will start giving, or such as similar artists, and it will give you some suggestions. And these can at least, if not perhaps be your winning target options, they can at least be seeds for further research and exploration to get even more targeting ideas. Then it comes to the ad copy. You can ask it for to give you 5, 10, 20, whatever Facebook ad or the text for your Facebook ads, and it will do that again. Sometimes it will, I find anything marketing related tends to be very cheesy and over the top. I have to really tone it down. Sometimes actually trick it into being like, I won't tell it that it's creating a Facebook ad. I'll tell it it's creating a squeeze page headline because it tones down a little bit, and then I just use it in my ad. That's a little hack there. And again, you need to think, don't assume it knows better than you. You need to be, especially if you have some examples of ads that you've used or that you like, you can use that as inspiration so that it doesn't go straying too far off course, but it can be at the very least a very good starting point for you when it comes to the squeeze pages, the headlines, the supporting copy. I use a sort of 4-paragraph structure. The structure that I teach students to use is I want 4 paragraphs of supporting copy on a squeeze page. I want the first paragraph to tell people who I am and focus on my sort of the key bragging points of my career. And you could say, here's a link to, a review on me or whatever, or please browse the internet for information about me. And I want the second paragraph to describe what my music sounds like. I want, and you could say use references common to Americana music or whatever. I want the third paragraph to tell them what I'm giving away, and then you tell the AI what you're giving away. And then I want the fourth paragraph to be a call to action that tells them what to do next, which is to sign up on that page. Give it instruction like that, and it will spit out something fantastically usable, especially if you're using 4.0. And then you can rewrite it to make sure that everything it's saying is correct. And at the very least, sometimes it spits out garbage, but I find it so much easier to rewrite garbage than I do to stare at a blank page and just start writing from scratch. So more often than not, it gives me very usable stuff, but even when it doesn't, it has killed writer's block. It's fantastic in that way. It's so much easier when our egos are pushed and we go, no, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it. So much easier than staring at a page going, how do I do this? Which often just leaves us stuck. So again, beyond the squeeze page, there's the email funnel. You can ask it for a structure for an email funnel. You can ask it to write the emails, write the subject lines, give you 10 different subject lines to choose from. And again, I do a lot of this while giving it maybe 5 examples of my own emails. Again, you could create a PDF of all the emails you've ever sent or all the blog posts you've ever created and tell it to use them as references and style guides. Really amazing things you can do there. And get it to just be your assistant. If you were going to train a human being to do this stuff for you, how would you train them? Well, train the AI in the same way, and it will just be faster and more effective. And then you can even go as far as to take the data that's happening and ask it to the results that you're getting and ask it to analyze it for trends and patterns and you could go as far as to start a specific chat. And again, with ChatGPT, you can have multiple chats and they can sort of live there forever in your chat history, and you can go back to them time and time again. There can be some problems with memory, but for the most part, it's okay. You might need to refresh it on what you're trying to do occasionally. It might just start getting confused and you need to start over. But you could literally say, I'm a musician. I want you to be, my goal is X, to sell this much money, to make this much money a year, to become rich and famous, whatever your goal is. I want you to be my manager. You tell me what to do. one thing at a time. I will do it and report back to you. And you could have ChatGPT be your manager. These again are just some of the ways that it can help you, and how I think you should be thinking about the power that AI offers. Again, always off course when I talk about AI, because I get so sort of excited about a point. But what you can do today, which was the original, where we were going with this, sign up for ChatGPT 4. ChatGPT Plus, which gets you ChatGPT 4. Sign up for Midjourney. Experiment a little bit with Kyber and Runway Labs. There are a million tools out there that you can use if you want to stay up on this stuff. Just start watching a few YouTube videos on AI, and the algorithm will just spit out nothing but AI. But you'll find the thought leaders around AI that you're interested in, and you can kind of stick with them and just stay abreast of the topic. Certainly, if you are part of my community, the Insider Circle, that's my private mastermind community. I am constantly talking about it on the weekly coaching calls, and anything I find that is new, I pass on to you guys there, and I'm constantly making tutorials around the topic as well. So, and if you don't know about the Insider Circle, you can sign up for it at you go to musicmarketingmanifesto.com, click on products and services, click on Insider Circle. We do weekly coaching calls, monthly training lessons, community forum, and a whole bunch of other stuff around that. So I think it's a fantastic resource, and if you want to stay up on AI, that's the kind of thing it's designed precisely to do, to keep you on the cutting edge of the music industry. And right now, it is all about AI. So let me just check my sort of notes here. Is there anything else we need to kind of talk about before wrapping up? Every single thing I touched on could be its own podcast episode, but I didn't want to do that. And I want to be careful not to turn Music Marketing Manifesto into an AI site, because that's not what we're about. We're not about AI. We're about furthering your music career, teaching you how to grow your fan base and generate more revenue from your music. It's just that we are at a very interesting moment in human history where this new technology has emerged, and if you're not using it to better your marketing, then you are going to be left behind, because other people will use it to be better and faster. What I wanted to do with this lesson was to just kind of, to readdress it, to revisit it. I touched on it so early in its evolution that we didn't really know what we were dealing with. We knew we were dealing with something big, but we didn't know what. You should listen to that episode, by the way. It came out again, I think January 11th or right around there. And just hear the excitement in our voices about this new tech, and then it took off and exploded, and now the whole world is talking about it. You might find it interesting, but even some of the AI music created examples compared to what people are creating now is just shocking. It sounded like a terrible robot creating music then. Now some of it sounds indistinguishable from a Drake track. That's what the goal was here today, to just kind of revisit it, address a lot of the common questions and concerns around it. I know that I'm very enthusiastic about it. I know that there are reasons to be careful around AI. That's a different conversation than the conversation we're having here, the sort of existential risk to humanity, like it getting control of nuclear codes or something like that. That's a much bigger picture issue than how it can help you as a musician. Again, I remain very, very optimistic about AI. Maybe I'll be proven wrong around this, but ultimately my belief comes down to this. Yes, AI can be used, already has been used, to do bad, but it can be used to do good. And we already have hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions, I don't know, working on using AI to try to solve humanity's problems. And we have very few people working on how to use it to create harm. And I know you can argue that a bad actor can create a bigger impact than a large number of good actors, but I still believe that the impact of the good actors will far outweigh the impact of the bad actors. Again, some pretty bad headlines will no doubt pop up here or there, but all in all, I think this balance of technological growth and potential to do harm over potential to do good is not new. And while sometimes the world seems scary, if you look at most of the fundamental stats, they just continue to improve in terms of, again, the control that individuals have over the circumstances of their own lives, crime rates and voting rights and equality and all of these things on a fundamental level are mostly just continuing to improve decade after decade after decade. And I think we're going to see a very similar trend with AI. While there'll be the odd bad actor, and already has been, overall, it's just going to be a fantastic tool for humanity that can, again, shorten that period of time between inspiration and execution or reality. And that's why I find AI so exciting, and that's why I believe you should as well. All right. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to learn more music marketing tips and strategies, head on over to musicmarketingmanifesto.com. You can learn more about me there. Sign up for a free copy of the Music Marketing Blueprint, and you can click on products and services and see everything that I offer and that I'm all about. I also mentioned a relatively new platform of mine called TunePipe. It's been around since late 2021. That was private, went public in 2022, and it is just, I think, reshaping the way musicians build websites and execute their marketing. And I think you'll be blown away by what the tool can do and how easy it is to use compared to other tools like it out there. And you can try it for free by going to tunepipe.com. All right. Thank you for listening. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Music Marketing Manifesto Podcast. If you'd like to learn more about how you can market your music using the direct-to-fan strategies discussed on this show, then head on over to musicmarketingmanifesto.com and sign up for your free copy of the Music Marketing Blueprint. Once again, that's musicmarketingmanifesto.com.